Welcome grade 12 RT students to this video where we're going to go through the PRAC exam or paper 1 from 2023. But this is not the November paper, this is the supplementary June paper, so a really good paper to practice before you get to your exam. So we're going to do our second video in the series, and that's the SQL and database question. In case you didn't know, right at the end of your question paper you will see the details of the table, and here they'll give you examples of the data that's in there, what it looks like, what are the data types, and the description. So don't forget to go refer to this when you are referring to your database table. So this is the TBL manufacturers, which has got an ID, name, contact number, and online support, which is a true or false or yes or no. And then our other table is TBL devices, and there are the details for that. So just remember to go check that out. There is a link in the video description where you can download the data files and you can try out the paper yourself as well as the question paper. But go give it a go and then come back to the video so you can see where you made your mistakes. So we are dealing with a smart devices database. We just briefly spoke about the two tables, which is TBL manufacturers and TBL devices. And here they give you all the details. So there they give you an example of what the GUI is going to look like. And our first couple of questions will be SQL, and then we'll have one or two, obviously with the 2.1 we're using Delphi code. So they tell you all the details of the tables over here. That's what we're going to refer to in our code, TBL manufacturers and TBL devices. Those are our ADO tables. And 2.1 is going to be SQL statements. So you can see there are 5 of them that we're going to do. So let's go start with our first SQL statement, which is down here at 2.1.1. I also have the database tables as an image over here so that I can keep referring back to them instead of going to the top of the question paper. But let's start with the first one. Display the device ID and device name. So those are the only two things we must display of all the devices in TBL devices that use the iOS operating system. So we are using the devices table. We only want the ID and the name, and we want all of the devices that use iOS as an operating system. So that means the operating system must be iOS. So here is the data files. There's the GUI, and we're going to double click on 2.1.1, and here's where we're going to write our SQL statement. So I'm going to type in select because they want us to select the device ID and device name. Those are the two fields that we are displaying. And then where are we getting this information from? We're getting it from which table? From TBL devices. And then what's the criteria? The criteria is for all the operating systems that are iOS. And we said that means the operating system, one word field, must be iOS. Operating system, make sure that your field names that you're referring to are exactly the same as what they are in the database. Otherwise, it will not work. Equals to iOS. Now, that is a text field, so we're going to put double quotes around it like that. So let's run it and see what it does. Let's click on the button, and there it's produced some results, and we can see over here that our first couple of results match there. So I think we did that correctly. Close it. 2.1.2. The user is going to select a device type from a combo box, and that's been done for us and stored in a variable called device type. And we must display the device name, category, and number in stock for the devices where the category which we selected matches or is contained in the category. So here's an example. It's not equal to the category, it contains it. In other words, for example, if we select TV, category isn't equal to TV. It's got the word TV in it somewhere. So that's the clue. We don't want it to equal TV, but it must contain TV. So let's go double click. There's our combo box, and I think they gave us the code for that already. So we've already got the device type, which is going to be selected from the combo box. Now, what I tend to do with this, whenever I'm using variables combined with my SQL statement, is I first get my SQL statement working for a generic example, and then I'll include the variable. So we're going to just assume that we want to get the TV results displayed. So let's just do that one for now. So we're going to go select, and which fields do we want to select? Device name, category, num in stock. So again, make sure that they're spelled exactly like they are in the database. I'm going to split this over multiple lines. I'm going to put a space at the end of my line and then say plus, and then start writing some more SQL. Just remember, if you do break it up into multiple strings, make sure that you've got a space at the end so that whatever you type here doesn't get combined onto the back of that and it doesn't know what that is. So we want to get it from which table? We're going to get it from TBL devices. That's my next one. And then over here, we're going to say plus my where category. Oh, Mr. Long, you just said put a space there and you didn't do it. There we go. So my category is going to be, or our category, because this is not a cat paper, this is a RT paper. So our category field. So what some people would do would say equal to the text TV. So I just want to show you what that looks like. If I do that, And then it doesn't matter what I select. I could select anyone. It's not going to make a difference. Display it. It doesn't display anything because none of the category fields say the word TV. They always say smart TV or something like that. If you look over here, you'll see the tables here. So it's always going to have, for example, smart TV, something like that in it. What we're going to do instead is we're not going to make it equal to TV. We're going to make it like TV. And when we say like TV, then we can use our wildcards. Our wildcards are, for example, you can put a star to indicate nothing or anything. So we could have nothing or anything in front of the word TV, or a star to have nothing or anything at the end of the word TV. So like smart TV would fit there because that's something in front of the word TV and nothing at the end. Now that works if you're using access and general SQL statements. But in Delphi, we need to change our wildcards. The wildcards for a star actually a percentage sign. So we're going to put percentage sign. So that's the exact same thing as a star if we did this SQL statement in Access. So that means anything in front of the word TV or nothing, or anything at the end of the word TV or nothing. So we're looking for category to be like this. So let's test that. Doesn't matter that we select TV, let's go, boom, and there we go. We can see the results. Now that result is for TV. It doesn't actually matter if I select speaker because it always produces the same result for TV because our query uses just TV. So now this is my trick. Whenever I've got text and I need to include a variable inside of this text, so this is all my text here. I need that TV to be device type. So this is what I do. So I'm going to change TV to device type, and this is how I do it. I first put a single quote. So that means end that string and start the new string there. And then in between those two single quotes that we've just typed in, I'm going to put a plus. And then in between the pluses, we're going to put the variable that we want to convert, which is the device type, which is a string, so it fits. So let me show you that again. You take the text that needs to be replaced by a variable. We're going to put quote. Then in between those two quotes, you're going to put plus. In between the two pluses, you're going to put the name of the variable that you want, making sure that's a string to match the string that you're connecting it to. So let's try that now. So now if I select TV, it gives me TV. And if I select lighting, it gives me all the ones with the lightning. And if I give watch, it gives me all the options with watch in it. So there we go. So that's what we are looking for. 2.1.3, display the device name, category, and operating system of all devices that receive online support. So that's a criteria from the manufacturer, and the results must be sorted in alphabetical order according to device name. So there they give us an example. It seems quite simple. So why is it 6 marks? So let's go have a look at the table. So we want the device name, we want the category, and the operating system of all the devices that receive online support. Now, if you look here, there's no online support. Online support is in this table. So that's why it's quite a few marks, because we're actually getting data from both tables. Now the link between the two tables, so if I come here to this manufacturer ID, that means I can then come over here, find M105 and find out if it provides online support. So that's the link between the two tables. Manufacturer ID of this table is the same as manufacturer ID of that table. So that's the link. So this is a query using two tables, and the moment you use two tables, you will have a where clause that specifies what the link is. I know we've got an online support must be true, but we must also mention the link between the tables. So let's double click on the 2.1.3. I'm going to come here and we're going to select. So we've got our fields that we want to display. Then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say plus. We're going to then say from which tables. We want from both tables. So from TBL devices, comma, TBL manufacturers. Then we are going to have a where clause. Now, the moment you've got two tables, you need to put in the link, which is manufacturer ID is the same as manufacturer ID. Now, because there's two manufacturer IDs, we need to specify that we are referring to the manufacturer ID from the manufacturer table and the manufacturer ID from the devices table. So we need to first say the table's name dot manufacturer ID is the same as the other table. So there's our one criteria, and we have another criteria, and we also want they provide online support, which means the online support value field must be true. Now, there's only one online support in both tables, so if I refer to it, it'll know to get from there. But that's the only table that contains an online support. But you could say TBL manufacturers.online support, but we can just simply say online support must equal to true. Now, because it's a true false field, we don't need to put it in double quotes. And then also, we mustn't forget that they want it sorted. So they want it sorted in alphabetical order by device name. So we want it order by device name. If you are unsure about when to use the select from, remember that it is smelly feet will give horrible odors. So it's always the select first, then the from, then the where, then the group by, then the having, then the order by. So that's why in our case we had select from where, and then order by is at the end. Okay, so there's a semicolon there. We're going to take that one out. I think that's all correct. We might have mistakenly mistyped one of the field names. If we have, it'll give us an error, but let's see what it does. So let's click on online support. Oh, it seemed to have worked. Let's see our results compared to them. Our first 5 records match there, so I think ours is correct. So there we go. Well done. I typed it all in without making a mistake. That's a surprise. 2.1.4. All the products in stock are available to be purchased at a clearance sale. The price shown in TBL devices table refers to the selling price of the product. Profit for selling that stock, all of it, is 60% of the selling price. So the total profit made by each manufacturer must be calculated. So we want each manufacturer's profit, and we're going to assume that all the products will be sold. So we must write code for that. So that's a very interesting example. So if you look over here, we're looking at the manufacturer ID, I think over there, and we're looking at price of the items. Now, we are going to sell everything. So if we take M105 and we want to add up all of their stock in total, so that's one item. There's 107 of them. So we're going to take that 107 times it by 300 to get the total amount for this Always Summer device. And then we're going to find another item for M105 and total it. So we sum in all of these values. We sum in the price multiplied by the num in stock. We're assuming that we are selling all 107 devices, and if we pay that much for each one, that's going to be our total amount sold, and then that's going to end up being 60% of that. We're looking at the devices table, and we want to group all of the manufacturers together. So we want all M104's total profits together. So we want to group that. So if we come over here, we are going to select manufacturer ID, and I'm going to put this on a new line so that we can see it clearly, and we want to sum the num in stock multiplied by the price. So num in stock multiplied by the price. So we are going to sum those values. And where are we getting this information from? We are getting it from TBL devices. And the moment you have a calculated field with another field, then you are going to group by that field. So we're going to say group by the manufacturer ID. So let's just go see what that looks like for now. So we click on it. So what we've got at the moment, if you look at what they want here, is we definitely have a grouping of the manufacturer IDs, which is what we've got there, and we want to work out their profit. So I want that to say profit, and I need my values over here don't match theirs. And that is because we actually want to do what we did, but we want 60% of it. So all I'm going to do at the moment to change this is, first of all, I'm going to take this sum and we're going to multiply it by 60%, which is 0.6. Let's see what that does, and then I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to say as the word profit, because that's what they wanted the label to be for that one. Let's see what that one does. Let's click on profit and let's compare it to our values. So straight away we can see we've now got the correct values. The only difference is ours doesn't look like theirs because we haven't done the formatted into currency part. So we want to format that into currency, but most of it is correct. We've got the right headings, we've got the right order, grouped it correctly. We just now want to change this into currency. And so to do that, we're going to take this whole calculation and we're going to format it. And then at the end of that calculation, we're going to put a comma and in double quotes, put the word currency, close bracket. So we're going to format this calculation as a currency. Let's see what that does. There we go. It looks a lot better. And I think that's exactly what they want over there. There we go. I think that one's done. Let's move on to the next one. 2.1.5. The entire range of smart speakers by the company M104 have been recalled due to a fault. We must remove those records from the table. In other words, you're going to delete them from TBL devices. Okay, so we want to delete all M104's smart speakers. So the code to display the message has been done for us. But if we come over here and click on remove devices, we're going to come over here and type in. This is a change in the database. So we are not inserting anything. We're not changing what's there. We're just simply removing those records. So we are deleting from TBL devices, and our clause, we're going to put a where clause. There's two criteria. The first thing is we want the smart speakers, and that's in the category or category. So we're looking for smart speaker where category equals smart speaker, but we're going to put that in double quotes because it's text, so we want those that equal to smart speaker. Make it spelled exactly like it is in the database. And my other criteria is where the manufacturer ID is M104. Remember, that is also text, so we put double quotes around that text as well. So delete from the devices table any field where the category is smart speaker and the manufacturer ID is M104. Let's see if that works. Click on the device, and it says 2 records were deleted, and that is what we wanted to see over here. So I think that is correct. So make sure that you save, and let's move on to 2.2. 2.2. So here we're going to be using Delphi code. There's 2 questions for this, and we are going to use our normal Delphi structures. We can't use SQL in this question. So let's go down to 2.2.1. So retailers want to see which products are made by each manufacturer. Code has been provided to clear the contents, and we're going to display the manufacturer's name and their contact number, and then some headings, and then all the devices that manufacturer has in the devices table. So we are actually using both the devices and the manufacturer table because we need the details of the manufacturer from there, and we need the device details from here. This is basically going to be a nested loop. We're going to go through the manufacturer's table, and for each manufacturer, we're going to then go through the devices table. So what I suggest we do here is let's just get the first manufacturer working. We're just going to do the first one. If we get this working, then we can repeat that whole process for every single manufacturer. So we're going to do one manufacturer, get it working for all the devices for that manufacturer, and then if it works, we're going to then do it for all the manufacturers. So let's go try that. So we're going to come here to the second tab, and we're going to click on the display products button. So they've already cleared it. So let's think about this. We're going to simply be displaying the details. So there's nothing that we have to calculate. We just need to refer to a particular manufacturer ID. So if we take this, for example, we're looking at M100, and then we're going to go through the devices table and find all the M100s and find their devices. So we're looking at Barry Tech. So we're going to do this. Let's first of all do that first line, which is the Barry Tech heading, .lines.add. And we want to display Barry Tech and then the contact number, which we're going to change to the fields now. So that's the heading. And I'm going to come here and make a MID, which is the manufacturing ID of type string. So we're only dealing with one manufacturer for now. So S manufacturer ID, we're going to set to M100 because that is the manufacturer ID for Barry Tech. So that's the detail. So we display the first heading. We can replace that later with the actual values from the table, but let's just do the first one, do that. And then we need to go through the devices table and look for this particular manufacturer ID. So we're going to start with the TBL devices dot first. We're then going to go while not TBL devices dot end of file. And you must put a begin end because there's lots of things that we're doing. And at the end of it, we're going to go TBL devices dot next. That's my algorithm for going through a database. So we're going to go through the database. If TBL devices, and we are looking at the manufacturing ID. Manufacturer ID, if that is the same, so if the devices one is the same as this one that we've got, then we have found a match for Barry Tech. If that's true, then what do we want to do? Well, we want to display the device name, how much is in stock, and the price. So we want the device name, the num in stock, and the price. So over here, we're going to say in the rich edit, we're going to display the value from TBL devices, device name, plus a tab, plus the num in stock. Remember, it needs to be exactly like it is in the database. And then we're going to add another #9. And then we're going to add, I must forget the plus sign over here as well. Let's put a plus sign there as well. And then we're going to say TBL devices and the price. Sure, we've spelled it correctly. So that's what we're displaying, the device name, the num in stock, the price. But just remember, device name is text, so that's fine for the memo lines. But the number in stock is an integer and the price is a real. And if you look here, they display it as currency as well. So we need to actually format the number in stock from an int to a string, because it's still getting data from the database, which means it is an integer. So we convert that from an integer to a string. And this value is going to be a float or currency value. So we want to also go float to string F and convert that to FF currency. If we find a matching ID, display the device name, convert the num stock, display it, convert the price display. Let's just see what that looks like. So we come to Delphi code and we can click on this button. And it doesn't recognize the manufacturer ID. I think we've spelled that incorrectly. So let's come back here and we want manufacturer ID. Make sure that you spelled it exactly like it should be in the database. And display. Okay, so let's have a look at the things here. A couple of things to take note of. First of all, everything looks right. We've got the right values. Key away, look TV, stay safe. We got the same ones and we got the right values. Everything's correct. The only thing that's missing, we do not have headings. So after we've done the details of the manufacturer, we need to put in these headings, and you'll notice that there's a bit of a tab here. There's a gap. So we want to shift this up. So that's the only thing I'm going to change to my current situation. So first of all, after we've displayed the details of the user, we're going to put in a heading. And we're going to put in, first of all, a #9 because we want a bit of a tab first. Then we're going to type in the word device name, then a #9, then in stock, and then price. Then another #9, and then price. So that's the first thing I'm doing there. And then over here, when I display device name, before I do that, I'm actually going to first do a tab, then device name, so that we can get that little bit of a gap. Let's see if that works. Let's display all the products. Okay, so there it looks a lot better. We've got the nice layout, we've got the heading. It looks perfect for the first case for Veritech. Now that we've got it working, we want to repeat this process for every single manufacturer. So M100, M101, M102. Just take note over here though, that there's a bit of a gap before we start the next one. So the first thing I'm going to do as well is once we've done all of this and we've gone to the next and we've displayed everything, then I'm just going to put in a blank line over here. Just simply just add in a blank line so we've got that gap. So this is working for one case. So this is everything. Now we want to repeat all of that for every case of the manufacturer. So that means we're going to loop now through the manufacturer's table, TBL. So we're going to start at the first manufacturer. Well, not end of file of the TV manufacturers, and then we're going to say begin, and we're going to do all of this code right until here. And here, before we move on, we're going to make sure that we say TBL manufacturers.next, and then we end. And so this is the end of my outer loop. So we're going to repeat that process for each manufacturer. So now we can adjust it so that we're not doing Veritech every time, but MID must be M100, then M101, then M. So this must be the manufacturer's manufacturer ID. So I'm going to change this not to that static amount, but we're going to change it to the manufacturer's field for the. So this field is now going to fetch the manufacturer ID of the first record and then do this for that one, and then it's going to do M101 and do this all for M101, and then and so on and so on. So we're using that field, and we don't want to display Veritech every time, so we'll take that out. We want to display the manufacturer's manufacturer name. So we type that field just like it is over there in the database, just without the S. Then we're going to have a colon, and then we're going to have plus there, and then plus after the colon we need the manufacturer's number, which is in the contact number field. So instead of that number, we're going to put in the contact number. Let's hope that it's all spelt exactly like it is in the database. So let's recap. So we go into the first manufacturer, get the name, get the contact number, and record the manufacturer ID of the first manufacturer. And then we go through all the devices, finding that one. Move to the next manufacturer and then do the same thing. Now we're dealing with the second manufacturer and all the details. So just get the inner loop working. Once you're happy with that, you can just put the outer loop around it and then just try and make them work together. So let's come here and display the products. And there we go. We can see Veritech is there. The next field should be GenSmart, then Gemini. So you come here, there's GenSmart, and we can see all GenSmart's products, then Gemini and all their products and so on. And I think it's saved, done exactly like it is. Maybe we would have a space before the contact number, but overall I think it is spot on. So I would come here and just put a space over here. And there we go. I think that question is done. Then 2.2.2. When devices are sold, the number in stock must be decreased in the devices table. The user must select the record of the device that to be sold from the DB grid component. So they're just going to click on the DB grid and we will be where we need to be. We are working with that particular component. There's no need to search anything. When you click on a DB grid, the pointer will be where it needs to be. We must ask the user to enter in a number of how many values they want to sell. And if the stock is sufficient, then we decrease the number of the stock. If it's not, we're going to display a message. So they give us some examples. So if we click on that particular one and we buy 15 items, it goes from 100 to 85. And if we get 100 items and we want to buy 101, it goes, no, there's not enough. You don't have enough stock. So they're going to click on the devices table and then click on that button. So we first of all need to find out how many values are being sold. So let's make up a variable for sold of type integer, and that's going to get from an input box, which needs 3 strings. So there we go. I've just given it 3 strings. I've already put in a value of 15 for there by default. But remember, input boxes return strings, and this is an integer. So we're going to convert this input box once it's got its value from a string to an int so that it can fit into the integer value. So there we go. We've got our integer value. Now, what's next? We're going to check, first of all, that there is enough stock. Only if there's enough stock do we really want to actually change that value and go into like edit mode, because we're just changing that record. So let's first ask the question. And how do we know if there's enough stock? Well, if that number is bigger than the amount in stock, then we don't have enough items to sell. So if TBL devices, and we're looking at the num in stock value. If that value is smaller than the number that we want, then we don't have enough stock. There's too many things being ordered. If that's the case, then we can simply just display a message, show message, and we can say not enough items in stock like they do there. Like that. But if there is enough items in stock, that's the alternative. Else, if there is enough, then we're going to do a couple things. First of all, we're going to say, okay, we have enough items, so we can then go into edit mode. Now you might go, how do we know we're at the right place? Because remember, they said they're going to click on the DB grid. If they click on the DB grid, we will be at the right item. It'll be selected. Then we want to change the num in stock value to whatever the current value is for the number in stock, but we're going to subtract the amount that we want to sell. And then once we've done that, we must remember to post our results. And I think that is all we need. They don't say anything about a feedback message, but I think that's all that we need. So let's go test it out. And for example, let's go to the devices. You see that, let's go to this one for DO5. So there's 425. We're going to update the stock and I want to buy 15. So as you can see, they're currently 425. I'm going to click OK and you can see it's gone down by 15. But if I want to now go and click on this one, for example, and we want to buy 400 of this, let's go update stock and we're going to say 400. That's obviously too many. We click OK. It goes, not enough items in stock, so it can't make that change. But if I had said I want 300 items, you can see it's now jumped down to 89. Again, if you've made those changes to the database, you can just restore the database to get everything back to its original state. So all those values should be back to their original values. Okay, so I think that question's done. I think we've done everything. Make sure you save, and let's move on to the next question. If you need to revise databases or SQL, make sure you click on the playlist tab and go check out the videos that can help you with that. Also, subscribe to the channel so you can find out when we post new exam papers, and follow us on other channels as well. And remember, don't do the long way, do the Mr. Long Way.